Hi everybody, this is Dana Costache and I'm talking today to Roxana Radulescu. I'm going to let Roxana introduce herself. All I'm going to say is that she is one of the collaborators of Costache and Mediation, and I believe her services, her work, her expertise are truly essential to preparing the parties that are going inside any mediation session. So Roxana, I'm going to let you start, introduce yourself, and then talk about what you do.
Okay, thank you, Dana, and it's good to be here talking to you. My business is called All Personal, and why I started with it was because at the end of the day, it's all personal and nothing is just business. So I'm helping people tap into their own personal skills and training and coaching them to use them to their full potential so they can benefit them fully. I do training especially focused on communication and presentations and speaking, and also team management and teamwork and leadership.
Roxana, you're based in Canada right now, in Toronto?
I'm based in Canada, in Toronto, yes.
And you're also offering coaching online, is that correct?
Yeah, I do training face-to-face and online, and my coaching is mostly online.
I understood how important developing all these skills would be in mediation, especially because in mediation you're dealing with a couple or parties, if it's workplace mediation,
Right.
with parties who have been in conflict already. So they come in the session not harboring necessarily the best intentions and the best emotions towards each other. What could you do to help them, first of all, be emotionally balanced, tame their anxiety or fear or anger before they go into the session?
You want to go into a meeting, no matter what that meeting is, but especially in a meeting where you are trying to solve a conflict, right? So you want to go in that meeting with the mind in a good state so that you get the results that you want. So in order to be able to do that, you need to calm down the emotional part. When we are so emotional, especially because we come from long-term relationships when we get into a mediator office, right? Either personal or professional, but it's the same kind of long-term relationship based on trust. So somewhere there's a breach of trust. And the emotional charge is so big that it's often very difficult to see the rational side of things and to be able to be all adult about that situation. One of the reasons why this happens is because the essential emotional needs that we have is to be listened to be understood and valued. And this is why we get into these sort of meetings shouting or using words that are so powerful, not necessarily good, but powerful enough to ensure that the other hears us. So it's really, really important to, before that session, first of all, breathe properly. So breathing is really important because it helps you get into a more balanced state of mind, simply because the oxygen travels better in your body and in your brain, and it does give you a different perspective.
In terms of nonverbal communication, with those two parties in the session, can you talk a bit about how we position our bodies when we want to have an open communication versus when we really want to close it? And I'll give you just a very simple example. If I have a couch in the room when I do a mediation, rather than, let's say, we sit around the table, if there's a couch and there are two parties, I often see, each of them trying to really, really stay as further away from the other. That's a very clear nonverbal communication sign that they really want to have as little contact with each other as possible.
So our bodies will always tell our truth, no matter what we talk about and no matter what words we use. Our bodies will say exactly what we want to say, and we won't sometimes even know that we're doing that. So as you said, you have two people who are there definitely to mediate a conflict, but the way that they position themselves towards each other is completely opposed to their spoken intention. So that's why it's really important to know, to be aware of the feelings and emotions that you take with you in that meeting, because these feelings and emotions are the ones that give you the body language in the meeting. So if you're aware of the fact that, okay, I'm upset and I'm hurt, and I also want to get to a solution, and my intention is clear that I want them to know that I'm hurt, but I want to solve the situation, the body language, our bodies will align with our intention. And if you're there just to get it over with, our bodies will say exactly that. I want to go away. And so communication is impossible almost, because I'm not there. I'm not there. Not only with, I'm physically there, but my mind is somewhere else. And
imagining a scenario where I have two people sitting on that couch, trying to be as further away from each other, and maybe their arms are crossed and their legs are crossed. We could read it instantly as they really want to run away, but they are not ready to listen to one another or to try to understand the other. There's a lot of pain and suffering over there. If I get those parties in the mediation room, as a mediator, my work is so much harder, because then I would have to take a whole session or even more to try to open them up, rather than using that time in a very effective way with the two of them having been primed before, a coach like yourself, so that they come into the session much better prepared to get the outcome that they truly want. So I really appreciate the utility, of what you do. I think it should be an included service in any mediation, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, thank you. And it's exactly as you say, to make them ready to listen to each other, because that is no easy thing to do, especially when you have relationship that's in conflict right now.